Hey everybody, this is Tom from Rocket Restorations, and yes, I know I just did a cutaway video, but I just ran across this, and this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. So we're visiting a buddy of mine, Scott Smith, over in Spokane, Washington, and he just picked this one up. This is we're not sure the year. He thinks 53, I think it's 54, maybe even 55. A first gen Chrysler Hemi cutaway block, but it's specifically Chrysler Marine, so it has like special manifolds on it, and it's also a dual quad motor. So apparently this one came out of, it was San Jose State University, I think, like the shop class. I think that's where Scott said he found it. So friend of his bought it at an auction, like a surplus auction there, and then Scott bought it from them. But how cool is this? I'm gonna go into some pretty serious detail on this thing. Look at the stand too. Like, I've seen a few of these before, like the one we showed you, the 383 one that Jamie from Megaparts just got, and like that one has like a unique stand that was like kind of top heavy. This one actually seems pretty sturdy. And the coolest thing, so apparently when they bought it, is they said it didn't work. But look at that. Look at the cam actuating the lifters. That is so cool. I'm just memorized. I'm just going to stare at this for a while. So he really doesn't know too much about the history of this thing. Obviously, it was a Chrysler display engine. It says Chrysler Imperial Marine engine, type M45 cutaway, serial number 0000. So I don't know if this was the first motor they built that year, if it was just the first cutaway they built. I'm really not sure, but there's a lot of really unique parts on this. The other thing I was kind of curious on this is, so I believe in 54, up until 54, so 51 and 53, they all had extended bell housings on them, on the early Hemis. They went out to here. This obviously doesn't have that. It has the shorter one, but it has to have that for the outdrive, for the boat stuff. But so again, I think it's probably 54, maybe even 55. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's a 331. But there's a lot of really unique, really cool marine-only parts on here. So look at that starter. Like, they generally had the starter mounted down there. I'm not sure why it's mounted so high on here. I don't really know what's going on here. There's actually like plexiglass, or Lexan, I guess, on the side here, so you can actually see inside the oil pan where the pickup goes down. And then it had a, again, a clear cover on here so you can see all the valve train actuating. And luckily this actually doesn't have a lot of chrome on it. That 383 that was just restored was like all chrome, and I can't imagine what the chrome bill was on this. This one's all polished, so all you have to do is go through and just repolish all this stuff and make it like new. I guess that's a water valve up there to run. Do they just run seawater through these on marine motors? I think they do. So it says water overboard, check valve, water overboard, and water bypass. Neat stuff there. That's a unique distributor too. I think that's unique. So it's got the tag on it there. I don't see, they're usually not yellow, so I wonder if they just painted that just for this motor. Again, that's polished stainless underneath there. I don't think they would have done that originally. The Chrysler Marine did have these unique valve covers. I've had a few of these over the years, and they had sodium-cooled valves on them. Consult maintenance manual before servicing. I'll remember to do that. And these have a unique bump in the valve covers, and you can always tell that those are off a performance motor because they had solid lifters and adjustable rockers, as you can see over here. So again, you can't see on the other side there because it has the spark plug cover on like the early Hemis do. But you can see right here, the bumps right here, that'll be underneath there. And you can see the adjustable rockers in there. So the nut and the flathead for adjusting the rockers to set the valve lash, basically. There's old valve cover gasket in there. All the little clippy things are there. And washers underneath the intake with a very, very cool dual quad intake. Because I'm not even sure, I don't think the dual quad intake even came out till 55. I don't know. If there's some early Hemi people here who know this a little better than I do, but I'm really guessing this is a 55, probably a 331. But the numbers on an early Hemi, you're probably saying to yourself, well, just look at the casting numbers. Well, unfortunately, they put it on the front on these, so this doesn't have it because it's cut away. Get it? Cut away. Yep. I don't know what that is. Is that a heat exchanger? I think that's a heat exchanger. Or is that for oil? oil cooler. Duh, it says oil cooler right on top. That's an interesting piece. You don't see those on stock motors. So they, yeah, because on Marine, they have to have water-cooled exhaust manifolds on here because you can't just put hot gas in the water. It'll like crack stuff and destroy stuff. So they always had to cool the exhaust before it went off, and they were water-cooled, basically. Oil filter back here. Chrysler full flow oil filter. So they were just starting to use cartridges in these years, and that's real neat. That's all there and preserved. This is another really neat thing on the back too. So when I did my cutaway video, you could see on the heads that I had and much of the other stuff, everything was like color coded basically. Well, here's the chart. And I kind of mentioned that in the video what I thought it was, but this is real easy. So exhaust is red, water is green, fuel is blue, and oil is gold. Kind of neat. It helps you out with that. The front here, you can see inside the motor, so spark plug in there. So of course Hemis have these unique porcelain extended tubes that go down the spark plugs because they have to reach from the top down. And if it was like, you know, bendy, you wouldn't be able to stick it on there because it would just kind of like fall apart. So they have porcelain on there, so it's really easy to snap those on. Easiest spark plug job in the world is a Hemi, early or late. Well, first and second gen. Third gen's a whole other thing. Of course, there's 16 plugs on the new Gen 3 Hemis, but a little neat touch there I really like. Again, you can see inside here, so the rockers and the valve train actuate that. Cams right here in the middle. Looks like it does have some wear, so it's been run a few times. You can see the plate underneath there, and then you can see the intake passages right here. Real neat. All the flow to the exhaust. So that is the, that's the exhaust valve, I believe. No, that's the intake valve. That's the exhaust valve right there. And you can see how it's cut open to see the middle. I believe that's the sodium filled part, I believe. And I'm not super familiar with those, but I believe that's what that is. And then it's red over here. And apparently this thing did fall over at some point and cracked the manifold on this side, which really sucks. But that's the only piece he's missing. So he's going to find another Marine exhaust manifold and basically redo this, which won't be that hard to do. See the piston right here? It's got a nice little dome on it right there with valve reliefs. Rods here on the crank. And then you got the oil pan, which again is painted gold because oil means gold. It has a unique kind of floating pickup in there, which is kind of cool. So it would kind of follow you know, the oil as it went up and down. It's also a baffled oil pan because, you know, boats don't really have to worry about acceleration and stopping. Just when they go, they kind of rear backwards. So you just don't want the oil to go past the pickup when you kind of, I don't know, hit the gas in a boat. What do you call it on a boat when you hit the throttle? I don't even know. That's why they have the baffles there and the floating pickup, so you can go up with the oil there. Other piston over here. You can see the hemispherical combustion chamber here with both exhaust valves right there. And then right here you have, you know, this is the liquid cooled manifold, so it uses engine water. I think it uses like actual water it picks up from the lake or ocean that you're in, and then would run water through there to cool down the exhaust before it came out, so it didn't like damage stuff when it came out. You got the WCFB carburetors. So they used those until 57. 58, they went to the more modern AFB carburetor, which looks like this over here. That's what an AFB carburetor looks like. Thanks, Scott. He's got everything around here. And these will not bolt up to that manifold. The WCFB has a much narrower pad on it, so you can't just bolt these on. There are adapter plates to make them work, but they will not directly bolt onto that WCFB intake manifold. I think the only thing chrome on here is actually the valve covers. So obviously this thing has a few very minor condition issues. It's really pretty complete, and the fact that it runs is pretty awesome. I'm assuming these are probably mounts, how they mounted them in a boat, because they would be kind of flat in the bottom right there. And then Scott said also that there's actually something on the back side here. I'm not going to take this apart. It's Scott's motor. But apparently on the back it says like Chrysler Marine, you know, cutaway on the back of that legend right there, which is kind of cool. There's something on both sides there. And then I believe they had, so see all these studs right here? All the way across there. So they had another piece of Lexian right here, kind of protecting that, because, you know, when they had people looking at it, they didn't want to like have people stick their hands in there and like lose a finger in a rod that it's running back and forth. But you can see how they kind of polished everything. Like everything's like real nice. Oh, there actually is some numbers there. Oh, it's 1343340. Huh. I'm not sure what that number means. interesting. That's like part of the cylinder liner, I guess. I'm not really sure what that is. All right, let me let this thing run again. This thing is so cool. You can kind of see over there. You can see the crank go by. Obviously, the plastic glass is a little bit faded, if you know what I mean. Yeah, this thing's cool. You can see the thread holes right there. It's actually a cast oil pan on it. It's not stamped steel. It's actually a cast oil pan on it. You can see on this side a little bit better. You can see the oil going back up there. This thing is so cool. This is neat too. So it's a zinc electrode. So I think that was to like take salt out of the water, I think, or like take corrosion out. That's usually what a zinc rod does. So yeah, it's basically a sacrificial metal. So it corrodes, so the other metal around it doesn't. Yeah, there's a little block drain over here because again, I'm pretty sure they're pulling just from there's pulling from wherever body of water you're in to run all this. I really try not to repeat myself on the channel that much, but I just couldn't pass up the opportunity to do a video of this because this is just super, super neat. You can see the spark plug tubes going through there too. You can really just see how all this stuff works and how the engineering worked. It's really, really cool. Actually a heat gauge there too, which I'm not actually sure what that is. These actually both have chokes, and then I'm assuming it's a manual choke here. You can see where it would hold the cable, and then these go back and forth right there. These are really small displacement. They don't really move that much gas. Another thing I've learned too over the years, on factory dual quad one of these, there's only on the dual quad WCFPs. If you ever see one at a swap meet, just kind of a thing to look for. If they have a brass loop that goes around the top there, that means they're dual quad. So I don't know if these ones are missing or if they just weren't originally dual quad carburetors. I am not sure, but it doesn't have those. But that's one thing to look for on a WCFB, which I always thought was kind of interesting. I've got a dual quad poly 318 at home that has the correct ones, and Scott's planning on fully restoring these carburetors. He does all. Scott Smith runs Harms Automotive, does all sorts of carburetor restoration, so he can't possibly have an engine run stand with carbs that aren't restored. So he just can't help himself. All right, I gotta run it one more time and show you guys. It's so cool. I love it. All right, well, this is Tom from Rocket Restorations. Thanks everybody for sticking around, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Yeah. Okay, this was bothering me, so I looked at the part number. That part number actually comes out as a 51 to 54 Chrysler 331 standard piston, which is kind of interesting that it's stamped in the side there. That must have been the part number for the piston in there. So I guess it maybe is 53, 54. I don't know.